The story takes us to the main square of a tribe with a pretty rustic old-school vibe. From a distance, we see a group of guys surrounding a girl, while one of them says she's still shaking. As we get a closer look, we realize she's a fox girl, and a guy tries to get handsy with her. All of a sudden, our protagonist wakes up, screaming for no one to touch him. Leone gets up, confused, wondering who was yelling over there. Clutching his head, our hero complains about being dizzy and wonders where he is. At the same time, one of the guys gets ticked off, saying the girl bit him and yelling for them to take her out. Our protagonist is totally clueless about what's going on. Just then, he steps out of the hut and comes face to face with the strange men. One of them complains that the girl is just a slave and says it's no wonder Leone hates her. Then the crowd starts to gossip, saying that Leone is no saint either. Leone then wonders if he's been transmigrated into a novel. He realizes the girl being mistreated is the female lead, Kufu. Then our boy remembers the novel's name was The Villain's Heroines Are Obsessed with Me. When one of the guys turns and calls him Leone, our protagonist finally puts two and two together. In that moment, it dawns on him like a bolt of lightning that he's the villain of the story. With that, the guy hands a club to our hero. He says the runaway slave has been caught, and now it's Leone's turn to deal with her. The protagonist thinks to himself that the villain in the novel only lasted for 3 days, and that this is a total rip-off. A bright light appears. A massive pillar of energy descends from the sky. A floating sphere then appears and introduces itself as Du Ding, the plot system. The system explains that our boy's mission is to reform the villainesses so they fall in love with him. Leone is shocked and asks if the system got the story wrong. Du Ding warns him that if a villainess's corruption value reaches 5 stars, it's going to be game over for him instantly. The system then alerts him that the female lead's corruption value is rising way too fast. One of the guys finds it odd that Leone is just standing there and tells him to watch his performance. He strikes her. Our protagonist yells, asking what in the world he's doing. The guy is startled by the protagonist's shout. Leone then steps in front of the girl and says he'd like to see who dares to bully her. Out of nowhere, a green-haired woman shows up with a smug tone. She seems surprised to see Leone protecting Kufu. The system warns that the corruption value is rising even faster, and our hero can't figure out why. Leone calls himself an idiot for not realizing that he is now Kufu's biggest enemy. With that in mind, he completely changes his strategy. Our protagonist says the girl is his and that no one has the right to interfere. The guys conclude that Leone hasn't changed and is just being possessive. Our boy then tells everyone to stay away from her and threatens anyone who dares to touch her again. The fox girl finds this suspicious. Looks over at her. The girl is confused by his attitude and eyes him warily. He then tells her to hurry up and go back home while the system congratulates him. Our protagonist yells at her, asking if she thinks he's a patient man. The girl clutches a sharp rock in her hand. Kufu gets up and faces the protagonist with a look of distrust. Our hero and the fox girl turn and walk away, being watched from a distance. The mysterious green-haired woman comments that this Leone is getting pretty interesting. Leone acts like the original villain and threatens the girl, telling her to pick up the pace. The poor fox girl looks exhausted, barely able to stay on her feet. However, she suddenly stumbles and falls. Our hero thinks she's in a pitiful state and that he needs to save her somehow. Back at his place, our boy sits on his bed and talks to the system. He asks the system if there's a starter pack or something of the sort. The system complains that he only has 10 points but opens the item shop anyway. Leone thinks that with so few points, he won't be able to buy anything useful. He then decides to buy a set of women's clothing that costs only 2 points. Our protagonist wonders why she hasn't woken up since it's been 3 days. Suddenly, Kufu begins to slowly open her eyes and the system happily announces that the fox girl is finally awake. Leone is relieved to see that she's okay. He approaches with a bowl of food and tells her to drink up. All of a sudden, her corruption value starts to skyrocket, sending our hero into a panic. The corruption points are rising because she thinks there's poison in it. Leone fakes a cough. He then continues the act and yells for Kufu to drink it all, or he'll make her swallow it himself. With that, the guy hands her the bowl and threatens to throw her out if she doesn't drink the medicine right away. Scared, the girl starts drinking the strange liquid, even though she thinks this is the end for her. After finishing, she asks what else he wants from her. The fox girl then thinks she's going to perish and that there's no way to survive. At this, she grows desperate and thinks it would be better to end things herself. Our hero realizes what she's planning and threatens her, saying not to even think about it. He leaves a plate full of food for her. As he leaves, a green snake watches her and questions him about the clothes and the food. The reptile then begins to glow and change shape while thinking about our boy. The snake transforms into a woman with green hair and a stunning figure. She remembers feeling something different about him, but thinks it's probably nothing. Other fox girls appear and call the woman Jenny to come pick some fruit. Jenny agrees and gives the other girls a wicked smile. Leone asks the girl if she even deserves food. He says she looks like she's been digging through the trash and tells her to hurry up and change her clothes. The protagonist threatens her, saying that if she leaves a single crumb, he'll dump it all on her head. The corruption goes up by 1 point, and the system says she still thinks the food is poisoned. Our hero wonders just how badly the previous owner treated her. He picks up the chicken leg and says she doesn't deserve to eat it, then devours it himself. Our protagonist then leaves and locks the door, is surprised by his reaction. Suddenly, Fu leaps towards the food our hero left behind. She then starts to wolf down the chicken leg. Eating desperately, she gets emotional. She then starts to cry while continuing to eat, realizing there's no poison. The system happily announces that Ku Fu's corruption value has decreased for the first time. Our boy wonders how the body's previous owner could treat such a beautiful girl so horribly. He looks at his own reflection and complains about his dirty and unkempt appearance. The system explains that the original Li Yuanyi's description was very brief and that it doesn't remember it. Then, the system says the novel's character hadn't bathed in 3 months, which totally grosses our hero out. Li Yuanyi then accepts his defeat and asks if he can spend 1 point to buy some shower gel. Our boy accepts the deal, and the system hands over the bath items to him. He takes the opportunity to buy a first aid kit for 1 point to take care of the fox girl. The system informs him that all items from the shop can be used forever, which surprises our boy. Our protagonist asks the system if dinner has been delivered to Ku Fu yet. Believing she's already finished eating, he kicks the door to the room wide open. The fox girl gets spooked by him and stops eating. The protagonist wonders why she hasn't eaten yet, and the system reminds him that she's still injured. In a menacing tone, the protagonist scolds her, asking if she dares to leave leftovers. With a creepy smile, he says she'll remember what happens to those who leave leftovers. He gives her a terrifying stare, and she breaks out in a cold sweat, terrified of the protagonist. He sits down next to her while she eats the rest of the food in terror. Our hero then pulls something out of his pocket. Ku Fu believes he's found a new way to hurt her. He grabs her and dabs her leg with a cotton ball, and the poor girl thinks it's poison. Our protagonist thinks it's better for her to believe he's hurting her than for him to try and explain. The protagonist keeps taunting her while she's eating. Li Yuanyi then takes her hand and tends to her injuries, saying that all of her wounds are going to sting. Soon, he finishes treating her wounds. Our hero says he's done applying the medicine and that he's leaving. Ku Fu is surprised and realizes that what he put on her body was medicine. She hurries and yells for him to wait before he leaves the room and leaves her alone. She asks him if this isn't his room. Outside, our hero shivers from the cold and convinces himself that enduring the cold night will be worth it. He thinks that when she wakes up and sees her wounds healed, her corruption value will drop significantly. The system then explains that the score is divided into corruption and affection, and that he only has 7 points left. Our boy confidently says he doesn't need to worry, because he's sure to get a ton of points when Ku Fu wakes up. Suddenly, he hears a strange noise coming from the hut. Furious, he yells that she's an ungrateful backstabber. Li Yuanyi is angry that he didn't gain a single point even after helping the fox girl. Our hero gets lost in thought. He then complains about his own smell, and says the original owner of this body was a total slob. Our boy then compliments himself, saying that if he were clean and well-dressed, any woman would fall for him. With this idea, the protagonist decides to take a bath to improve his appearance. He then exchanges 1 point for a bath kit so he can finally get clean. The next day, Ku Fu wakes up to the sound of the door opening and is taken aback. Li Yuanyi appears at the door, all cleaned up and smelling great. Ku Fu is shocked by his sudden change and doesn't even recognize him. Our hero shows off and asks if she doesn't find him incredibly handsome and attractive. Suddenly, Ku Fu backs away in fear and her corruption begins to rise again. Our protagonist doesn't understand why the corruption points are going up. He then realizes that if a handsome stranger suddenly appeared, he'd be suspicious too. Yuanyi punches the wall. Our hero yells and asks why she's still wearing the same old rags. He continues his act and criticizes her for wearing old, dirty clothes. Protagonist grabs her by the shoulder. Li Yuanyi thinks that she has some serious trauma and that it's going to be tough to help her. The fox girl looks at him with fear and suspicion. With that, our hero yells and tells her to hurry up and get changed already. She tries to say she needs to cook, but he cuts her off, saying her cooking is terrible. The protagonist throws her onto the bed and tells her not to cook anymore. Our boy then leaves, frustrated that he can't seem to gain any affection points. Peeks through the door, confused by his behavior. She looks at the new clothes he left on the bed. Ku Fu remembers how badly he used to treat her and how he suddenly changed. Ku Fu wonders why he didn't punish her and even gave her new, clean clothes. She looks at her hand and notices the wounds are better than before. Her conscience warns her not to be fooled into thinking he cares about her. The fox girl then convinces herself that he's just planning something worse for her. She clutches the red dress and convinces herself that she can't trust him. Our hero stops walking. Li Yuanyi says that women like pretty clothes and that she'll cheer up and the points will go up. But the system informs him that her corruption value has gone up a little more, leaving him shocked. Our protagonist throws himself on the ground in frustration and says he's going to give up because she's impossible to deal with. Our hero then starts practicing his villain act, declaring that it's Kufyu's unlucky day for running into him. He continues his charade, saying that if she serves him well, he'll grant her a quick and painless end so her suffering will be brief. Switching gears, our boy asks the system if his performance was cruel enough, and Doing confirms it was more than enough. Our MC explains that to stay in character, nobody knows the amount of effort he puts in behind the scenes. With that, Yuani and the system get all hyped up, shouting that they'll do whatever it takes to survive in this world. Back at his house, our hero yells that he's home and asks where everyone is, wondering where that fox girl has run off to again. Just then, Kufyu appears from behind a curtain, saying in a timid voice that she's right there and didn't run away. Our protagonist then starts walking menacingly toward her to keep up his cruel villain persona. Yuani scolds her, telling her to take a bath and change her clothes because she's embarrassing him by being so filthy. Kufyu kneels on the floor, terrified, and he complains about her gathering firewood, saying her wounds might reopen from the effort. Kufyu is left completely baffled by this, unsure how to react to our hero's strange behavior. Our boy then points to the fire and orders her to go get completely cleaned up for him without any backtalk, then feeds the firewood into the flames. Kufyu agrees but thinks she was foolish to believe he had changed and that he'll never truly be different. Next up, our boy starts preparing her bath with hot water. Then he tells her to hurry up and get in the bath. She gets embarrassed, but to stay in character, Yuani insults her, saying other girls are way prettier, which makes the system call him a weirdo. Our protagonist then yells at her to hurry up and get washed while Doing confirms he's being weird again. With no choice, Kufyu obeys and begins to undress to get into the bath. Carefully, Kufyu dips her foot into the hot water to test the temperature. Once in the water, Kufyu starts to wonder what he'll want from her tonight after all this. Outside, Yuani is freaking out because Kufyu alone is a handful, and he still has to deal with 6 more villainesses. He complains that he wanted to be a hero, not some simp, but the system cheers him up, saying he'll have 7 strong female warriors. With that, our MC gets a new surge of determination and says that being a simp is just part of the journey for the greater good. Later that night, Kufyu appears at the door and tells our boy that she's finished her bath, just as he ordered. When he turns and looks at her, our hero is left completely shocked and speechless. Kufyu appears in the new dress and shyly asks if this new outfit looks weird on her. Her face turns bright red as she waits for our protagonist's response, who remains silent, just observing her. Yuani says it's passable, but inside he's freaking out and already planning to buy her a bunch of other outfits. Kufyu doesn't understand his reaction and thinks he didn't like how it turned out, getting really sad about it. To keep up his act, our hero orders Kufyu to go to his room to watch over him while he sleeps, which surprises her. He then makes an over-the-top threat, saying that if she isn't there when he wakes up, he'll give her a severe punishment. With that, the two of them head to the room, and the system Doing announces that the act worked and her corruption has stopped growing. Our boy warns her not to mess with the buckets, because if she gets hurt again, he'll have to spend more money on her. Kufyu then understands that he's just afraid of spending money in case she gets hurt and sick again. But for some reason, she feels happy about it. Even though she thinks it's about the money, she understands his concern in the end. Kufyu cries with relief because even though her escape failed, her life isn't as hard as it used to be. At that moment, Doing informs him that her corruption has dropped significantly, earning him 10 points and unlocking the level 2 system shop. Our protagonist cries tears of joy and hugs the system, which congratulates him and says their plan is working. In that instant, a new determination sparks in Yuani's eyes as he sees his plan is finally paying off. He thinks that one day she'll understand that he's not the same person he was before, and that now, he just wants to see her happy and smiling. After a long day, our hero tries to relax in his bed to get some rest, but he quickly snaps his eyes open. And there he sees Kufyu in his bed, looking like she has other plans for the night. Blushing beet red, jumps out of bed and asks what she's doing. Kufyu replies that he was the one who told her to come sleep with him. He scrambles to his feet, flustered, while Kufyu is just confused by his reaction. Yuani denies everything and tries to stop his nosebleed to avoid total embarrassment. With the system warning him of the danger, he insults her to maintain his evil villain act. She then questions his attitude, since his actions seem to imply something else entirely. Our protagonist flips out and lectures her for getting the wrong idea. Angrily, he tells her to sleep on the bed while he takes the floor, far away. He then pushes her onto the bed, and she wonders if she's really allowed to sleep there. Our hero complains about the bed and says he's sleeping on the floor. Kufyu asks if they're still going to do anything, and he just tells her to shut up and go to sleep. With that, our boy lies down on the hard floor with just a single blanket. Just accepts it and lies down. However, she soon falls asleep, and for the first time, she feels safe and at peace. But during the night, Kufyu starts having a terrible nightmare. In her dream, she remembers a huge fire that destroyed her old village. Everyone was running desperately to escape the flames that consumed everything. Little Kufyu cried uncontrollably as she tried to escape that inferno. During her escape, she's hit by an arrow and falls to the ground, too weak to get up. Just like that, she's captured by 2 men who throw her into a cage to be sold. Kufyu suffered greatly, reliving all the pain and hardship she's been through. Back in the present, Kufyu thrashes in bed as a dark energy surrounds her. Our protagonist wakes up from the noise, and the system warns that it's hard to wake her up. He asks if Doing can see her dream, and the system says her corruption is just getting worse. The system then explains that she's from a noble bloodline but was sold as a slave. Our boy remembers that the trauma sealed away part of her powers and gently wipes away her tears. Liyuani then notices that the wound on Kufyu's leg still hasn't healed. With that, our protagonist grabs his first aid kit to treat her wound. He then applies some medicine to Kufyu's leg to speed up the healing process. Our hero watches Kufyu, who even in her sleep, can still feel the pain from the injury. In her dream, Kufyu feels a terrible pain and believes he's hurting her on purpose. She thinks this was all just a plan to get her to lower her guard, so he could attack her in her sleep. But with eyes full of hatred, she just wishes he would get it over with already. The pain is so intense that Kufyu complains even a pig would have woken up by now, so she tries to grab a piece of something sharp. Meanwhile, our hero has already finished treating her and is now sound asleep on the floor. Kufyu then wakes up full of rage and decides to get her revenge for him, torturing her. But before she can attack, she feels a strange itching coming from her wound. When she checks it, she's surprised to see the wound is now almost completely healed. At that moment, Kufyu realizes that the painful stuff he was putting on her was actually medicine. Understanding the truth, her affection value for him increases because he was only trying to help her. A new morning begins at our hero's house. But Doing wakes him up in a panic, yelling that something really bad has happened. The system then reveals that the original story's protagonist has also been transported to this world. Our boy panics because that so-called hero is the guy who used to mistreat Kufyu in the past. Doing also warns that with his skills, he'll blow past our hero's progress in no time. Liyuani complains that Kufyu alone is already a handful, and the system warns that if the other guy wins, they'll be erased. The system gets all worked up about the possibility being deleted by the main system. But our protagonist thinks for a moment and comes up with a brilliant idea to handle the situation. He explains that his strategy is working since he gained 30 points and the story has already changed. Full of confidence, Liyuani declares that the other guy will have to get through him first. Our hero then decides to play it cool and just keep an eye on this new rival who has appeared. Meanwhile, Kufyu hears him talking to himself and wonders who he's talking to. Lin walks over to Kufyu's bed. He gently pats her on the head and tells her to sleep well and wait for him. With that, our protagonist leaves the room to deal with his problems, leaving her to rest. Kufyu wakes up, confused, wondering what our hero meant by those kind words. Meanwhile, in a forest, our protagonist is already putting a new plan into action. He's thinking of bringing Kufyu here and staging a beast attack so he can save her heroically. But our boy suddenly stops, sensing that someone is watching him from nearby in the forest. Startled, he shouts for whoever is there to show themselves immediately and stop hiding. Cautiously, our hero approaches the bushes to find out who the mysterious spy is. Just then, a hand emerges from the bushes, and a voice asks him not to attack, saying they're from the same tribe. A green-haired wolf woman then appears and says his singing sounded like a wailing ghost. She recognizes him from the town square and asks if he's Liyuani, confirming his identity. Our embarrassed protagonist explains that he was just singing to pass the time and apologizes. The other girls comment that they heard he was ugly, but he's actually pretty cute. Our boy hears everything and gets all proud and happy with their compliments. The green-haired woman says he's changed a lot and seems like a completely different person. Our hero then seizes the moment and asks for the three girls' names. They introduce themselves and Xiaoyuan offers him a watermelon. Our protagonist tries to refuse the watermelon, saying he absolutely can't accept the gift. But Xiaoyuan insists, saying they got a bunch of them from the mountain and that he should try some. She then suggests he take some for Kufyu to try too, which catches him by surprise. Our hero activates his villain mode and says Kufyu is not worthy of tasting it, and Doing praises him for his acting. With that, Xiaoyuan calls her friends, and they decide it's time for them to leave. As she says goodbye, Xiaoyuan gives our protagonist one last smile before leaving with the others. Our boy then waves goodbye to them as they walk away. Alone again, he's lost in thought after this unexpected encounter with the girls in the forest. Liyuani asks the system if there was ever a character named Xiaoyuan in the original story. Doing says no, and that his charisma must have attracted other girls, and our hero gets all smug about it. Back in the kitchen, our hero complains that preparing a meal is always a pain. He realizes the flint box is empty and wonders how he's gonna light the firewood now. So Liyuani asks Doing for help and wonders if he has a lighter he can borrow. The system grants his request, giving him a lighter in exchange for a single, measly system point. With a confident smirk, our protagonist gets ready to show off the great invention of the new era. Just then, Kufyu appears and asks if he's in the kitchen, which completely startles him. Trying to keep his cool, our hero confirms he's there while accidentally stepping on the lighter on the floor. But he quickly changes his tune and rudely asks what she wants. Kufyu timidly replies that she came to cook their meal. Liyuani tells her to get cooking, that he's just practicing how to make a fire without any help. that he starts rubbing a stick against a piece of wood, trying to create a spark. Breaking into a cold sweat, he thinks that making a fire this way is super hard and hopes he doesn't embarrass himself in front of her. Seeing his struggle, Kufyu offers to help him and asks him to let her try. With a simple gesture, Kufyu uses her magic and creates a flame at her fingertips. Just like that, the firewood catches fire, and our protagonist is amazed at how incredible she is. He explains that although her strength hasn't fully recovered yet, she can still summon a small spark of fire without much effort. Our protagonist is thrilled and gets excited seeing real magic for the first time. Curious, he asks if she needs any hand gestures or incantations to use her magic. Kufyu explains that she doesn't, and that she just needs to concentrate her power and sync it with her will. Yuani is surprised and asks if she doesn't burn her fingers doing that. With a confused look, she simply replies that no, she never gets burned by the fire. Our hero then fires off a ton of questions about how to learn it and the cost of the skill. Kufyu is totally lost and doesn't understand a word he's saying because he's talking so fast. Suddenly, she starts blushing and begins to think our protagonist is kind of cute. But she quickly scolds herself for thinking that, remembering all the bad things he's done to her. Kufyu tries to remember how he used to treat her so she won't fall for his act. Meanwhile, our hero asks the system how to concentrate energy to use magic. Kufyu thinks that he's been acting differently, and the system offers to trade points for skills. She remembers he took care of her, and Yuani asks what skills he can buy now. Our hero complains that the ability to see just 10 seconds into the future is completely useless. Doing informs him that the skills can be upgraded. But our boy thinks it's too expensive and decides to put it off. In the meantime, Kufyu watches our protagonist and thinks that he's different now. With that, Kufyu continues cooking while thinking about his recent actions. She then realizes that he's quite handsome and smells nice, too. Our protagonist notices she's distracted and worries that her corruption might increase again. He quickly comes up with a brilliant idea to fix the situation and get her attention. So he grabs the watermelon he got earlier and shows it to Kufyu to distract her. Kufyu is surprised by the fruit and asks where he got that melon. He explains that he met a girl from the same tribe who gave him the fruit as a gift. Full of jealousy, she thinks that because he's handsome now, he just goes out and gets melons from other girls. Our hero says that women like fruit, and that she can have it since he doesn't like sweets. Angrily, Kufyu refuses the gift and says she doesn't want the watermelon at all. Keeping up his act, he asks if she really thinks she can refuse something he gives her and leaves the fruit on the table. Finally, he complains about the kitchen and leaves, telling her to prepare a decent meal for him. Outside, our hero asks the system if he was quick enough and if the situation is under control. But doing warns that it detected a huge emotional fluctuation from Kufyu, but it's not corruption. Our protagonist is relieved by this while the system tries to figure out what this new emotion is. Meanwhile, Kufyu is dying of jealousy and complains that he accepts gifts from just anyone while glaring at the watermelon with a murderous look. Inside the house, our hero looks at the system screen with a grim face, not knowing what to do. Then he freaks out when he sees he only has 46 points and complains that there's no way he can improve like this. But doing calms him down, saying that the 7 villainesses will show up soon, and then the points will come easily. Our protagonist gets excited about the idea and thinks that, if he wins them all over at once, the points will double. With that, our hero starts imagining all 7 corrupted girls and gets all giddy with the idea. But reality hits, and he remembers that Kufyu alone is a lot of work, and dealing with 7 would be insane. Then, in the tribe square, a man makes an announcement to all the locals. The elder explains that the men will go hunting while the women will harvest cotton under the watch of the warriors. Just then, our boy scans the crowd for Kufyu and quickly finds her among the other slaves. Kufyu doesn't look like she's in a very good mood. Yuani tries to get her attention and gives her a charming little wink to tease her. But to his surprise, Kufyu turns her head and completely ignores him, leaving him totally shocked by her attitude. Our hero can't believe it and complains that he just gave her a watermelon yesterday, and now this is how he's treated. Watching everyone leave, he wonders how much longer he'll have to keep pretending to be a big, bad villain. Finally, our protagonist complains that winning over women in real life is way harder than it is in the novels. 5 days pass and our hero waits in the square, demanding an explanation for Kufyu's disappearance. The tribe's elder tells him to go away and says he's already sent someone, but Yuani wants to know what they found out. The leader calls for the guards. One of the guards approaches, and the elder asks what happened to our hero's slave, who didn't come back. The man explains that Kufyu didn't get along with the others, so she was working alone in a corner. He continues, saying he heard from other slaves that she was taken by someone from the dark tribe. Furiously, Yuani grabs him by the collar and yells at him for not doing his job of protecting her. The guard defends himself, saying she's just a slave, and that if she's gone, our hero can just buy another one. Filled with rage, Yuani can't take it anymore and tries to punch the guard in the face, calling him useless for his incompetence. But the man manages to block the punch. The two of them then start wrestling on the ground while the crowd around them comments that without Kufyu, he'll be worthless and can't afford another slave. Then the two of them stop fighting. He then backs away and declares for everyone to hear that Kufyu was taken, not just eliminated. With a look full of determination, our protagonist swears that he will definitely rescue her. Then he turns and leaves while the others mock him for acting like a king over a mere slave. Back at his house, the system points out that even with the changes, the fact that Kufyu gets captured didn't change. Doing explains that if they rescue her before the original hero does, they'll have the advantage, and our boy agrees. Then we see the city gate, where another pair of reincarnated individuals are discussing their plans. The original protagonist asks his system about the other system he detected in this world. The hero's system, named Shuai Ding, replies that it can't locate the other enemy system at the moment. Shi Tianrui comments that Kufyu's master should have passed on but is still alive and wonders if he's the other user. His system calms him down, saying he's just an extra and that the main story still revolves around him. With a confident smile, the hero says he will rescue Kufyu and turn her into a gentle little lamb. The system agrees, saying that because Li Yuani mistreats her, he's indirectly helping him win her over. Meanwhile, our protagonist suddenly sneezes and wonders who's talking smack about him behind his back. Kufyu is now a prisoner of the Shadow Tribe, a cursed group that's been abandoned by everyone. These people are shunned by all other groups and forced to wander eternally in the dark. That said, one of the girls complains that she's starving while staring down the new prisoner. Meanwhile, Kufyu is still chained up with zero chance of escape. The hungry woman says she can't take it anymore and looks at Kufyu with a wicked little smile. Holding a knife, she gets closer, asking to just slice off a little piece of the young girl. But the leader of the pack stops her, telling her to chill out and endure the hunger for a little while longer. The purple-haired woman takes the knife and remarks that the prisoner they nabbed is actually quite beautiful. She then brings the blade to Kufyu's neck, who just stares back at her with a dead, serious look. The knife even touches the girl's skin, but she doesn't show a single ounce of fear. The leader says it would be a waste to use a knife on a body as delicate as hers. We see the sharp blade resting against her skin as she remains completely motionless. The woman leans in to smell Kufyu, saying she hasn't smelled a perfume that nice in many years. She seems to be reminded of her past. Right after that, the leader starts laughing like a classic villain. Even while being mistreated, she shows her unwavering resolve. The tribe's elder warns him that the Shadow Tribe always prowls around the city, and going out alone is just plain insane. But our hero couldn't care less and says he doesn't need help from the very warriors he just defeated himself. So the leader asks why he would risk so much for Kufyu, since he didn't even like her in the first place. Our guy then answers with conviction that he has a very good reason for needing to save the girl. Suspicious, the elder asks him to share what this supposedly important reason is. In his head, our MC's main character thinks he needs a really selfish excuse to maintain his whole villain persona. With a smirk, he says Kufyu is his slave and his reputation would be trashed if anything happened to her. The elder gets ticked off at his attitude, and our hero replies that his honor is worth more than anything. Then Li Yuani shoves the man, telling him to stay out of it, and threatens him again. The leader holds him back and offers him a new slave, since he was friends with his father, but our boy refuses. Our MC is surprised by this, not expecting the elder to be so kind to him. Ignoring the warning, he turns and leaves the village, followed by the doing system floating by his side. Alone, he walks through a dark and desolate land to find the Shadow Tribe's hideout. At that moment, our hero feels a shiver run down his spine as he senses the danger surrounding him in this place. The doing system screams in fear, asking, "Who's there?" putting our hero on high alert. Our guy gets tense and looks around, trying to figure out where the threat came from. Seeing this, the system suggests he buy the danger premonition, skill to protect himself. But Li Yuani complains that 45 points is way too expensive and that he'll be left with nothing. He tries to haggle for a discount, but a shadowy presence suddenly appears, cutting him off. Just then, our MC is attacked by several shadows and yells out in surprise. Under the moonlight, the only thing we see are a few red drops floating through the air. Our hero suddenly wakes up, complaining about a drip and asking which of his dorm mates is gonna go check it out. But then it hits him that something is very, very wrong. Sitting in a dark, unfamiliar place, our boy wonders just where the heck he is. In a panic, the MC starts screaming for his system, hoping for some kind of help. And then the system pops up, congratulating the guy because he's been captured by the story's second villain. Doing then gives him a heads up that the girl is on her way and tries to brace our hero for whatever's. Freaking out, the guy starts looking for an exit, but complains there isn't even a tiny door to slip through. Suddenly, Tyoshi hears a noise and senses that the woman is running towards him. And out of nowhere, a mysterious woman emerges from the darkness and throws herself right at our hero. Upon seeing the new waifu, the guy is blown away by her beauty and thinks, "Yeah, I could get used to this." The girl starts caressing his face, and our boy asks why she's being so gentle if she's supposed to be a villainess. The young woman then says he woke up just in time and tells him she wants to have his baby. This unexpected proposal leaves our protagonist completely stunned and utterly confused. Without wasting any time, the woman starts getting ready for what she has in mind for our. Desperate, Tsuyoshi backs away, saying that for something like that, You need the right place and the right... Trying to weasel his way out, the guy suggests they get to know each other better first, all while worrying about the risk of Kufyu showing up. At that moment, the system warns him that the girl's corruption level has started to skyrocket. Our hero realizes he has yet another problematic villainess to deal with now. The woman throws him back on the ground. He then tries to calm her down, saying he knows a thing or two about this and that she should just hear him out for a second. The young woman stares at him and asks if he really has experience with the kind of thing she wants. Tsuyoshi makes up that it's a technical skill, and they should learn the theory first. But she says she wants to skip straight to the practical part, since her parents were only together for one night and they had her. Startled by her answer, our hero is forcefully pushed to the ground by the girl. She then asks if he has any siblings and why she's an only child. The villainess gets lost in thought, starting to wonder why her parents only had one. He explains that everything needs to be perfect and cries internally, thinking the mission will fail if Kufyu shows up. The system confirms this, stating that in the beginning, none of the villainesses can know about the others. The young woman gets closer and asks him to explain what the right time and place would be. The guy then asks if her parents loved each other, and the woman confirms they were very much in love. He explains that only people in love can have children, and since they just met, they should fall for each other first. And he invents that with feelings, a man becomes supercharged with vigor. The woman gets excited by his explanation and says she knew she'd picked the right person because he knows so much. She then moves closer, determined to have a piece of our protagonist for herself. Our hero gets all flustered. He asks if she didn't hear a word he said, but the woman just confesses that she likes him. The girl reveals she started liking him when she saw him protecting the slaves, and he's shocked to learn she saw him with Kufyu. The doing system gets confused by the situation, wondering what on earth is going on here. She explains that it's okay if he likes her less, because she'll just like him twice as much, and it'll all balance out in the end. Suddenly, a dark reddish energy starts to radiate from the new waifu's body. This energy traps the guy, who screams in fear, asking what the girl is doing to him. The woman then starts preparing for action, showing she has other plans. With a mischievous grin, she says they'll do what he said and tells him to start teaching her already. The woman lunges at him and gets ready to do what she wants with our hero. She's clearly enjoying this situation a whole lot. With that, the girl continues her advances on the completely immobilized guy. All embarrassed, he says it's not right for her to be so aggressive and asks if they can switch. The girl notices he blushed and says her mom taught her that means he's in love. In a panic, our hero thinks he's a goner, because he didn't expect to enjoy this particular point of view. The villainess asks if he's shy and promises she'll be gentle. Suddenly, the protagonist's nose starts having a little pressure issue. He tries to push her away, saying he doesn't need gentleness and that his primordial power is about to be unleashed. Ignoring everything, the woman whispers in his ear, complimenting how warm his body is. She moves in for a kiss, and he wonders if this girl is really a villainess who needs to be won over. The doing system appears, warning our hero not to be fooled by appearances. But the look on the guy's face shows he has completely given in to the situation. The woman then continues with her plan to get what she so desperately wants from our hero. She explains that her mother taught her the best moment is in the heat of passion, and says she's sure she'll be able to complete her objective tonight. Our hero gets all red, thinking that she actually knows way more about this subject than he does. She challenges him, saying if he's a real man, he'll last longer than 30 seconds, and a countdown begins. The woman then continues with her advances and teasing. In complete desperation, our protagonist feels like he's losing control of the situation. Unable to take it anymore, the guy decides to give in, saying he's about to do something illegal. With that, the two of them get down to business, and the unexpected happens. But the doing system warns him that if he has a child with her, she'll lock him up until the baby is born. On top of that, the system asks how he's supposed to complete his mission, which is like a splash of cold water for our hero. He pulls away and tries to explain that what is too rigid breaks easily, and that she'll have to take responsibility. The villainess is completely baffled by his words and doesn't understand a thing he just said. Doing says it knows it stinks not being able to do anything, but he needs to think about the consequences. The system reminds him that Kufyu is waiting for him, and the guy finally snaps out of it, saying he'll think. The woman backs off a little and asks if she bit him too hard. Desperate, our hero wonders what he can do to stop her since she's so determined. Suddenly, our hero remembers something very important that could get him out of this jam. He recalls that her tribe absorbs their partner's energy, and if he doesn't eat first, it's game over. With that in mind, the guy desperately yells that he's starving and wants to eat. The woman is shocked and apologizes for forgetting to feed him, almost causing his demise. The guy smiles victoriously, and the doing system congratulates him on his absolutely brilliant idea. The villainess then gets up and tells him to wait there, while she goes hunt something for him to eat. And just like that, the girl vanishes from the cave in the blink of an eye to get food for her beloved. He thinks about escaping, but Doing warns that if she comes back and he's not there, he's a goner. In despair, the protagonist says he's doomed if he runs and doomed if he stays. So he sits down with the system and asks for help finding a weak spot in the villainess's past. In the forest, the woman finds a massive tiger and immediately prepares for combat. The wild beast roars and lunges at the girl, but she isn't even fazed by the animal's attack. With a single punch, the young woman shows off her absurd strength and takes down the creature that attacked. She then breaks off a tree branch and says she has no time to waste and needs to get back quickly to feed the man she... The woman returns with the tiger and asks which part of the animal he'd prefer to eat. But suddenly, she notices something. Yuani is just chillin', fishing by a river. But little does our hero know, 3 women are hiding nearby, watching him. All of a sudden, our boy hooks a fish and yanks it out of the water. But he hears some whispering and wonders what on earth they're talking about. And the doing system translates that they're discussing how tasty he is. Doing also warns him that they've got their eyes on him and won't give up that easily. So our hero plays it cool and says that 1 fish isn't enough for dinner. He pretends he's going to catch another one, but he actually snags the fish off the ground. Right after, Yuani scrambles to his feet and starts running as fast as he can, clutching his fishy friend. The trio of women starts chasing him through the forest as he makes a run for it with the fish. He then thinks that he needs to rack up points to trade for skills, or he's totally toast. Doing warns him that they're getting closer, now just 13 steps away. Yuani starts to panic because the dark forest is no place for humans. And in the middle of the chaos, our MC trips and face plants right on the ground. Now that he's down, the trio is just 9 steps away from our protagonist. On the ground, Yuani starts to despair, thinking this is the end of the line for him. He tries to get up while Doing continues the countdown of their approaching steps. The distance closes rapidly to just 3 steps, leaving our hero terrified. Suddenly, he hears a slicing sound and wonders if the scythe got him. Our protagonist is so scared he doesn't even dare to look down to see what happened. Then, the Doing system tells him to just turn his head and check out the situation. Very cautiously, our guy slowly turns his neck to see. And what he sees are the 3 women on the ground, but without their heads. But right after, a mysterious shadow appears behind the women's bodies. It's a woman with black hair and red eyes, and she asks why he left the cave. Doing alerts him that her emotions are a total mess, and she's gonna lose it in 3 seconds. The woman's hand starts dripping with the girl's blood as her claws become visible. She then says she has no other choice, and a countdown begins. But when it hits 2, our protagonist runs and gives her a hug. The woman is left completely speechless and surprised. The unexpected hug makes the girl blush deeply, her eyes sparkling. Our hero then thanks her for arriving in time to save him, and she asks why. Yuani shows her the fish he caught and says it was especially for her. She gets all shy and asks if the fish is really for her. Our protagonist says he's a man and can't just live off of her. He should be the one taking care of her. The girl then realizes he wasn't running away, but was actually hunting for her, and he confirms it. She hugs him again and apologizes for misunderstanding, calling him the best man in the world. Back in the cave, she takes out a tiger and promises she'll protect our hero. Meanwhile, our guy sits at a table thinking that if he had run, he would have met the same fate as the tiger currently being carved up. The girl then offers him a piece of raw meat, but he's terrified and just wants to go home. With a trembling hand, our protagonist hesitates to take the piece of meat. She then tells him to eat up, because after dinner, they're going to mate. Yuani breaks into a sweat and says there's no way he's eating raw meat. The woman gets furious because to her, not eating the meat means he doesn't want to mate. He then says he really wants to mate, but eating raw meat will make him sick and ruin the whole mood. The girl gets suspicious and asks if it's true that people from the wolf tribe don't eat raw meat. Our hero then swears that if she gives him some time to cook it, they will absolutely mate right after. He makes up a story that his tribe stopped eating raw meat and asks her to crush a rock. She seems to go along with the idea. So she starts shaping the rock into a pan while our guy brings over a bowl. Yuani fills the stone pan with water from a waterfall inside the cave. Our protagonist then asks the system if the seasoning for cooked meat is any good, and Doing shows him a packet of seasoning for cooked meat that costs 1 point. Meanwhile, the woman returns with a pile of firewood, looking very impatient. He asks for help to deal with the fish, but all she wants to know is when they're going to mate. Our hero then places the stone pan on top of other rocks to make a makeshift stove. The girl sits on the ground and asks again if it's ready yet. He replies that it's almost ready and assures her it'll be quick. Our MC pulls a lighter out of thin air to start the fire. And he uses the lighter to ignite the firewood under the stone pan. Seeing the flame, the girl is completely shocked, her eyes wide. She then gets spooked and jumps back, scared of the fire that was just lit. Meanwhile, our hero is happily singing while stirring the pan with a leaf. But Doing tells him to stop singing and look at Deng Tingshuang, who has a sinister vibe going on. She's sitting there, trembling with fear and with a not so friendly look on her face. Our protagonist gets confused and starts sweating bullets, not understanding a thing. She then accuses him of doing all of this just to light a fire and finish her off. The smoke makes her cough, and she seems to be feeling really sick. It then dawns on our hero that she's actually afraid of fire. She thinks his excuse about not eating raw meat was all a lie. She accuses him of trying to take her out, and he thinks she's just imagined some big betrayal drama. Ting Shuang gets up and walks toward him with a dark aura. But our protagonist grabs her hand firmly before she can do anything. He pulls her close and explains that the fire is the only way to cook the meat in the pan. With the fire lit in his explanation, she seems to calm down a bit. He then touches her face and adds that the cave is also brighter, so he can see her beautiful face. She wonders if he really doesn't want to get rid of her as they walk hand in hand. Our hero asks her to sit down and rest obediently if she doesn't like the fire. Liuani then grabs a few twigs that were nearby to use. He picks two and jokes that they're the prettiest ones to be the chopsticks. After a while, the fish stew in the stone pan is finally ready. Our protagonist then explains that she should start with the belly of the fish. But Ting Shuang holds the chopsticks all crooked and looks confused. She tries to pick up the food but can't, only managing to poke at the sauce on the plate. Our guy then says that's not how you hold them and that he'll teach her. Her hand shows she has absolutely no practice with chopsticks. He hugs her from behind and guides her hand, showing her the correct finger position. Liuani helps her pick up a piece of fish and asks her to try it. She then brings the piece of fish to her mouth and tastes the food. Ting Shuang finds it delicious, and he says that if she likes it, he'll make it for her more often. Doing then announces that Ting Shuang's affection has gone up by 1/2 point, and he's earned 30 points. Our hero is thrilled, saying he's loaded now and asks to trade for a danger premonition skill. The system confirms the request and loads the danger premonition module for 45 points. Right after, our protagonist asks Doing to sing Ting Shuang's information again. Doing complies, and our guy closes his eyes to receive the information about her past. He discovers she's a half-breed of the dark tribe and human, and was orphaned at a very young age. The poor girl cried a lot, calling for her parents after they were gone. Being a half-breed, she wasn't accepted by either side and nearly starved to the point of no return several times. This tough childhood made her eat anything she could find and act purely on survival instinct. That's why, when she grew up, her greatest desire became reproduction, and she asks him why he's crying. Our protagonist is super moved and says her story is just so tragic. He wipes away his tears, but with a very determined look on his face. Liuani hugs her tightly and promises she'll never have to wander alone again. Ting Shuang accepts the hug and seems very happy and flustered by his gesture. And with that, her affection goes up by another point, and he gets a 60-point reward. Our MC then thinks this mission is a piece of cake while hugging Ting Shuang. Meanwhile, we see the tribe's square at night. There, Kufu is arguing with some men who say they've already sent people to look for Liuani. But with eyes red with anger, she accuses them of hurting her master on purpose. Suddenly, a stranger appears in the doorway of a house, watching the commotion. He thinks the whole story is wrong because he was supposed to save Kufu, not have her return alone. Back in the cave, Ting Shuang is holding onto our hero's arms tightly. She climbs on top of him and reminds him of his promise to mate after eating. And with a love-struck look, she says she wants to have lots of children with him. Liuani then asks if she wants their children to suffer the same prejudice she did. His words hit her hard, and she stops to think about it. She then gets up and asks suspiciously how he knows about her past. Our hero explains that the dark tribe can't reproduce and concludes that she must be a half-breed. Ting Shuang then admits she knows about the world's prejudice and stands up. Finally, she says she's going to step out to cool down, and that they won't be mating for now. Ting Shuang then leaves the cave to calm herself. Liuani breathes a sigh of relief for managing to stabilize her, but Doing pops up, furious, saying they have a major problem back home. Our hero asks what it is, and the system explains that Kufu's corruption value is skyrocketing and about to hit the limit. He then panics, complaining about why Doing didn't warn him sooner, and tells it they need to go back immediately. Doing warns him it's too late to walk back and will teleport him instead, and our protagonist yells for it to be quick. However, the system gets a bit awkward and says the teleport function has a special requirement. And the requirement is 50 points, which makes Liuani furious, but Doing defends itself, saying it's a rule from the main system. Fuming, our protagonist grits his teeth and agrees to buy the teleport. Back at the tribe, our hero and the system finally arrive after a long journey. Doing announces their arrival while Liuani checks out the situation with a serious look. He then freaks out when he sees a huge crowd gathered in the main square. Wasting no time, Liuani runs toward everyone, shouting that he's back. There, he finds Kufu holding a completely beat-up warrior by the collar. Our protagonist yells her name, confirming he's back and okay. Kufu is totally shocked to see him and ends up letting the man go. The system then informs him that her corruption value has decreased, leaving him confused. The angry bearded guy questions Liuani about his slave's rebellious behavior, but our hero confronts him, saying his warriors are weak and useless. He even throws it in the guy's face that the warriors were completely useless when he was taken. With that settled, he takes Kufu's hand and says they should go home. The men just stand there while Kufu looks at him, her face blushing. Their hands join together affectionately. Doing announces her affection has increased, and our boy earned 60 points. From a distance, the story's original protagonist watches and complains that our hero wasn't eliminated. The rival system assures him that the story is authentic and tells him to chill out. Side character. then decides to ignore the plot and go after another girl in the forest. Meanwhile, night falls over the village, bringing a mysterious vibe. Up in a tree, Johnny wonders how Liuani escaped from the dark tribe. The serpent then begins to transform, revealing her beautiful legs. Janny can't understand how such a useless master pulled off such a feat. Back in the square, the bearded man furiously shouts that the kidnapping was a big fat lie. He accuses Liuani of hiding and vows to never care about him again. Later at Liuani's house, the mood between him and Kufyu gets a little tense. The two stare at each other in silence as Kufyu turns bright red. Sitting at the table, she wonders why our protagonist is staring at her like that. Liuani then reaches out and touches her shoulder. At this, Kufyu gets surprised and flustered by his touch and quickly stands up. Liuani asks why she's getting nervous again since they were just getting along. All embarrassed, Kufyu says it's nothing and offers to cook for him. Our hero wonders if she's mad, but doing reveals that her affection is rising. With a smile, he realizes she might be into him and decides to change his strategy. But suddenly, the doing system starts flashing desperately, issuing a warning. Doing warns that the other villainess returned to the cave, and her corruption skyrocketed when she didn't see him. Frustrated, Liyuan complains about the author's rule that prevents the villainesses from meeting each other. He gets ticked off about having 7 girls who can't see each other and questions the system about it. So, he decides to talk to Kufyu first before she also gets corrupted by his disappearance. Meanwhile, in the cave, the other villainess is furious, thinking he lied to her to escape. Alone in the empty cave, she feels completely betrayed by our protagonist. She swears he can't escape as a dark and dangerous aura surrounds her. Suddenly, she hears his voice calling her name and asking what happened. Ting Ting turns around, surprised to realize he actually came back to the cave. Liuani appears and shows her a gift he bought with 3 system points. Ting Ting stares at him, still in shock. Without hesitation, Ting Ting lunges at our hero, who is completely stunned by her action. She quickly tackles him, making them both fall to the ground. With a flushed face, she declares she can't wait any longer and wants to have his baby right now. With her face flushed, she declares that she just can't wait anymore. At that moment, Doing warns that our protagonist can't give in, because if she gets pregnant, he won't be able to escape. The system then gives him a yes or no option, but our hero refuses instantly. He then makes up an excuse, saying their races are different and that it's dangerous. Ting Ting gets confused and wonders how that could possibly be dangerous. With that, Liuani says he needs to understand her body structure and asks if she trusts him. Looking all cute, Ting Ting replies that she trusts our protagonist completely. He then thinks he needs to tire her out with an appetizer to keep the situation under control. Liuani tells her to relax because he's going to check her body structure, and she agrees. At that moment, he begins the procedure, and his little hand starts sneaking around her body, surprising her. Ting Ting asks what that is, but he just replies that it's only the beginning. Then our hero's hand starts moving strategically. The girl gets all red from the situation and hugs him very tightly. Our protagonist then realizes that a well-developed body is very sensitive to the touch. With Ting Ting in his arms, he carries her and says they're heading to the nest. She agrees, trembling a little as our hero holds her firmly in his arms. He then places her on the bed and asks if she wants to continue, and Ting Ting says it feels good. With that, our boy continues the process, leaving the girl more and more out of breath. After a while, our hero looks pretty tired and a bit messy after their little jam session. The system congratulates him because the girl got so tired that she fell into a deep sleep. Doing also reports that her corruption has decreased, and he earned 30 points as a reward. Our protagonist says with relief that all his effort was finally worth it. But he's so exhausted that he passes out on the bed and says he needs to rest for a bit. Meanwhile, back in the tribe, night falls on our hero's house. Kufyu seems a little uneasy. Her hands are trembling all on their own. Is having bad flashbacks that are haunting her. With different look in her eyes, she realizes her strength seems to have increased somehow. Farni wonders how Liao Yuani disappeared if he left the tribe again. She finds this whole situation very strange. Johnny finds this whole situation very interesting and continues to watch with a smile. Our hero lights a fire. Ting Ting wakes up a little confused and wonders what happened. Our boy explains that she was tired and fell asleep and asks if she's rested. The girl then hugs him happily and says she would never abandon him, but asks if he's leaving. He confirms he has to go back to the tribe because his friends are worried. Our hero calms her down, saying she knows where he lives, so he can't run away. He then asks if she liked what he did, and if she wants a little more. Ting Ting immediately confirms, so he asks her to let him go back for a while. Our protagonist even swears he won't run away, putting on a cute face to convince her. Ting Ting looks away sadly but seems to agree. She says she'll let him go on one condition: he has to let her mark him first. Ting Ting explains that with the mark, she can track him at any time and have peace of mind. Our hero is confused and asks how she would make this so-called mark on him. Without a second thought, Ting Ting moves in to bite his neck. She inches closer to Leon. She kisses his neck, leaving a mark on him. She explains that this way she can track him, and our hero figures it's probably not a good idea to tick this girl off. Li Yuani considers that this could be an extra layer of security and, in the end, is totally worth it. With a smirk on his face, he asks if he can leave now. She agrees. At that moment, they say their goodbyes, and our hero finally gets out of the cave, giving the girl a wave. Once outside, he finds it weird that she let him go so easily and gets super suspicious. That our MC finds a hidden spot in the forest to use his teleport. And just as he's about to teleport, he hears someone in the forest complaining about not being able to find something. Li Yuani realizes the original protagonist is there, and he came to capture the same villain as he did. The OG protagonist complains that he didn't find anything, and his system encourages him not to give up the search. Lin Yuani understands that his rival has a system, which is why the villainess hadn't been found by him earlier. He thinks there's no way he can compete with the original hero, so he decides to just dip. But he stops, thinking his rival is handsome and has a better system, and starts worrying about how he'll compete. Our MC starts whining that she needs to take some responsibility for this mess, so he decides he can't just leave and tells the system to take him back. Meanwhile, the villainess is lying in bed, super bored with nothing to do all alone. But suddenly she hears the sound of footsteps and sits up, surprised to see who's coming. At that moment, Li Yuani appears with a smile and says he remembered something important. Ting Ting is overjoyed and asks if he came back, because he just couldn't stay away from her. Our boy gives her a hug and confirms he couldn't stand the thought of leaving her all alone. He then says he wanted to see her in the new outfit he found before he unreally took off. With this excuse, Ting Ting excitedly accepts the request, eager to try on the gift she received. A little while later, she appears in a black dress, leaving Lin Yuani completely speechless. He then asks if she liked the clothes, which are from the human race, to get her opinion. Ting Ting replies that she loves anything he gives her, and the system announces a huge point reward. Her eyes sparkle with little hearts, showing just how happy she was with the unexpected gift. She sits on his lap and asks if he's leaving already, but our boy says he'll wait until she falls asleep. Ting Ting looks sad at his answer, but eventually agrees that he has to leave at some point. Night falls over the forest, and a crescent moon illuminates the star-filled sky. Seeing this, the OG protagonist thinks it's too risky to continue the search and decides to leave for now. He then decides to look for the other girls and come back to capture this villainess later. With his system agreeing, the rival uses his teleport and vanishes from the dark forest. Back in the cave, our hero watches Ting Ting, who has finally fallen fast asleep. While dreaming, Ting Ting whispers a few little words. He finally opens the system to use the teleport. Just like that, our MC vanishes in the blink of an eye, leaving Ting Ting behind. Li Yuani reappears in front of his house. He looks around and sees that, luckily, no one saw him pop out of nowhere. But our hero notices that Kufyu is still awake since the light in the house is on. As he walks, Janny continues to watch him from a distance. Her curiosity about Lin Yuani just keeps growing stronger. She wonders to herself how he can use such advanced magic. Lin Yuani opens the door to his house and goes inside. Upon entering the house, our hero finds Kufyu sleeping on the floor in her fox form. And when she notices his presence, she quickly snaps back to her normal form. Lin Yuani asks why she's sleeping on the floor instead of the bed. She notices the fish and thinks that he only managed to catch 2 because he's still weak. Kufyu mentions that dinner is ready, but Lin Yuani stops her from serving it. In a serious tone, he insists she first answer why she was sleeping on the floor. With an awkward smile, Kufyu replies that she's just used to sleeping that way. Li Yuani points out that he knows she prefers soft beds and that there's no point in lying to him. He pets her on the head and tells her to sleep in the bed from now on, without being afraid. Kufyu gets all flustered and wonders why he's been acting so weird lately. To keep up his tough guy act, he says he'll serve the food to make sure she doesn't poison it. Our MC heads to the kitchen, and Kufyu follows him closely watching. She thinks that he hasn't changed, but at least he's not as mean as before, which is a relief. The system announces that her affection has increased, and our hero earns another 5 points. Li Yuani is baffled by the situation and complains that he doesn't get what she's thinking anymore. The doing system says he's already doing a great job and encourages him to keep it up to level up. Lin Yuani is filled with confidence and feels ready for any challenge. To keep up the act, he serves the food and tells Kufyu to sit down and eat, or there'll be trouble. She obeys, and our hero says he hates it when someone goes hungry in his house. Kufyu just nods in agreement with his order while holding her chopsticks. Outside the house, Janny continues to watch the two of them having dinner. Suddenly, Lin Yuani feels a strong itch on his neck where Ting Ting bit him. Ku notices his reaction and gets curious. She suddenly slams her hands on the table and jumps up, startling Lin Yuani. She's got a spidey sense. Kufyu spots the hickey on Lin Yuani's neck. Furious, she yells at him, demanding to know who marked him. She recognizes the aura of the Dark Tribe, and our protagonist realizes that Kufyu is seriously ticked off. He makes up a story that he was caught and bitten, but managed to escape. She warns him that the Dark Tribe has its eyes on him now, and that they'll force him to mate. Gets a bored look on his face, realizing her analysis is spot on. Then she slams her hands on the table again hard. With a serious look, she says they need to leave for a safe place, far away from the tribe. Lin Yuani questions the decision, and she explains the danger that the other tribe's mark represents. Lin Yuani puts his chopsticks down on the table. He stares at her and asks if she's worried about him losing his freedom forever. Embarrassed, Kufyu mutters that she just doesn't want to see him get hurt, leaving the system totally confused. With a smile, our protagonist praises her loyalty and invites her to finish dinner. Kufyu stays silent, and our hero says he's tired and would rather talk tomorrow. He thinks he needs to calm her down so she doesn't find out about the other villainess he met. Later that night, the crescent moon lights up the sky as he blows out the candle. Lin Yuani sits on the edge of the bed where Kufyu is sleeping peacefully in her fox form. He watches her sleep and thinks she looks pretty comfy and cozy. He can't resist and starts petting the sleeping fox's soft fur. He hugs her and thinks about how comfy her fur is, wondering what it would be like to turn into a wolf. Kufyu suddenly wakes up, totally embarrassed, and wonders where he's touching her now. He takes advantage of the situation, thinking he'd be a fool not to press his advantage. With that, Kufyu asks him to stop touching the base of her tail as she gets goosebumps all over. Our boy keeps going, and she thinks her body is going to feel weird if he doesn't stop. His hand glides smoothly over the fox girl's soft fur, making her squirm with every touch. Kufyu can't take it anymore and lets out a cute little squeal she can't control. Lin Yuani asks if she's feeling uncomfortable with the petting. Suddenly, the system announces that her affection has increased, earning him points. Doing is over the moon and announces that the system shop has been updated with the new points. Lin Yuani looks at the system screen, which now has a much slicker, more modern look. The shop is now at level 2, and new items have been added to the inventory for him to choose from. The little fox snuggles in, thinking she must be going crazy to feel so good being this close to him. She decides to sleep cuddled up against him, at least for tonight, just to savor the moment. With a gentle smile, our boy tells the little fox to sleep well and get some rest. He continues to gently stroke her fur as Kufyu sleeps soundly on his lap. And so, the night passes peacefully, with the crescent moon illuminating the starry sky. The next day, Lin Yuani wakes up pretty tired after the eventful night with the little fox. He looks to the side and sees Kufyu sleeping peacefully in her human form. He reaches his hand out to her. He takes the chance to gently stroke her head. Kufyu, now up and about, says she needs to go out, but warns him to be careful with the dark tribe. Our protagonist just gives her a nod as she heads off to do her chores. Alone, he complains to doing that he's in a real bind because he doesn't know whether they should move or not. Our hero sighs and says that women are hard to please, but the system just cheers him on. He starts pacing back and forth, trying to think of a good solution to this problem. Suddenly, our boy stops pacing and it looks like he's finally had an idea. He decides he's going to find Kufyu to have a proper talk about moving away from the tribe. Our MC leaves the house and heads to the nearby orchard where she usually works. In the orchard, Kufyu is peacefully picking some apples. But the OG protagonist has also shown up. He's watching Kufyu from a distance, determined to win her over today. To do this, he uses his system to pick out a really nice outfit to try and impress her. The system confirms the purchase of the item, which will boost his charm for 1 hour. Kufyu continues picking apples in the orchard. Suddenly, the original protagonist of the story, but the fake one to us, appears and calls her name. He offers to carry the fruit for her, trying to look all nice and helpful. Kufyu is not impressed and thinks his face is so shiny it looks like he bathed in oil. She turns down his help, saying that's a job for the tribe's slaves. Frustrated, the OG protagonist thinks maybe the outfit didn't work, but then again, maybe she's just playing hard to get. Our MC watches from a distance, getting really irritated by the nerve of that pesky insect. Furious at seeing that schmuck trying to steal his girl, he decides to act immediately. Our boy activates his manipulator mode to wreck his rival's plan in the orchard. Lin Yuani calls out to her in a super sweet voice, catching Kufyu's attention. Our hero walks over and says that since she has help now, he's not needed anymore, pulling a little drama act. The boneheaded rival wonders what he's doing there and thinks Lin Yuani is no threat to him at all. Our protagonist turns to leave, but Kufyu grabs his sleeve and asks him to wait, totally falling for his drama. Doing announces that her affection has increased, and our hero gets a bonus of 5 more points. With a victorious smirk, our protagonist takes the fruit basket from her. He says he'll carry it, but in return, he wants a really delicious dinner. While the rival is left in the dust looking completely dumbfounded, Lin Yuani celebrates his quick victory over the pesky insect in his head. Totally lost, the rival can't figure out how he lost the girl so fast. Worried, Kufyu tells Lin Yuani to be careful with that rival from before. Even knowing she was a slave, he still wanted her. Our boy agrees with her analysis, and the two of them keep walking. Kufyu asks him not to act weird like he did in the orchard again. He asks what she means, and she explains that the other men in the tribe will look down on him for it. Our protagonist realizes she's talking about the manipulator mode he used. To tease her a little more, he gives her a light pat on the head. He gets closer and asks if she's not afraid of him anymore, and Kufyu is left speechless. Our hero says he doesn't care about the others, because he only wants to make up for what he owes her now. Kufyu gets all flustered and thinks that he's really changed and maybe isn't so bad after all. With this move, her affection level rises a bit more, showing he's completely won her over. Our protagonist looks at her and thinks that she's just a character from the book he read, but he realizes Kufyu is more than that and needs to be won over for real. But he shows his confidence with a little smirk. He tells her she looks beautiful when she smiles and that she should do it even when he's not around. Ku's eyes go wide and then she looks away, totally embarrassed. To break the mood, she tells him to come home to eat, looking as red as a tomato. On the way, he offers to cook for her, but Kufyu finds his behavior pretty suspicious. From a distance, the rival watches the two of them walking away together. He realizes our hero might be another transmigrator and has just become a real threat. His system warns him to act fast before Lin Yuani captures the villainess first. The rival then starts cooking up a plan, remembering that winter is coming to the tribe. His system asks what his plan is now that he has a new rival in his way. He remembers a character from the Dark Tribe who could be useful for his goal. The rival plans to use the girl to eliminate our boy and get the story back on track. This plan set, the pesky insect turns and leaves. Back at Lin Yuani's house, the table is set for dinner with a warm meal. Our hero offers the soup to Kufyu, but an energy blast suddenly tears through the room, causing chaos. He's startled by the sudden invasion. An attack zips right past Lin Yuani, who managed to dodge at the last second. His attacker is a mysterious woman wielding some kind of attack that looks like a chidori. Before he gets hit by the attack, Kufyu jumps in front of him. The slashing blow leaves a small wound on Kufyu's arm, sending her flying back. Lin Yuani catches her worried and realizes she got hurt because of him. She asks if this is the woman who marked him, but our hero immediately denies the accusation. The intruder says in a cold voice that he needs to be eliminated right away. She explains that she'll only be able to survive if our protagonist is taken out of her way. Then we get a flashback where the rival offers her the chance to be his slave if she eliminates Lin Yuani. He promises an identity and freedom for her tribe, but the woman is very suspicious of the offer. With a wicked grin, the rival asks why he would lie when he's asking her for a favor. Back in the present, she rushes to attack Lin Yuani again and finish her plan. Another of her powerful attacks hits Kufyu head on, and after the energy blast, she delivers a powerful kick to Kufyu. Janny hears the noise from the fight, gets worried, and goes to check it out. She senses the presence of the Dark Tribe and prepares an energy sphere to help in the fight. But our hero also springs into action, creating a golden ball of energy in his hand. The mysterious woman then turns around, surprised, as she feels Lin Yuani's immense power. With the powerful attack, he launches the villainess right out of his house. She's thrown badly injured, not understanding what just happened. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yuani closes the distance before she can even hit the ground. And he completes an attack combo, hitting the villainess again. The blow lands squarely in her stomach, slamming her to the ground. Hiding, Johnny feels a little awkward as she wonders how many more surprises our hero has up his sleeve. And when the dust settles, our resident badass does not have a happy look on his face, because they messed with his little fox. Yuani has his foot on the defeated villainess Tingting, while the fox girl Kufyu looks on, totally shocked by the scene. The fox girl Kufyu can't believe his strength and wonders how he can possibly fight on this level. Then our hero walks up to the fallen girl and asks, ice cold, who sent her. The villainess is still pinned to the ground, unable to move, as our guy presses his foot on her stomach. Just then, our MC's hand starts glowing with red energy, making his intentions crystal clear. With his hand engulfed in flames, he threatens the girl, who doesn't seem willing to open her mouth and say a word. Yuani warns her that if she won't talk, then there's no reason for him to keep her around. Little Kufyu looks at our hero, still trying to process the sheer power he just displayed in that fight. He then turns to the fox girl and asks if she was hurt anywhere else besides her hand. The fox girl seems confused and asks our hero just when he learned all these techniques. Our guy is at a loss for words, since he doesn't really have a good excuse for this sudden power up. The truth is, our main character used the Doing Systems shop to buy a powerful new cultivation method. He makes up a story about having some kind of epiphany when he was captured by the Shadow Tribe, and that's how he learned a few new tricks. After this little chat, our MC gets ready to leave the area with the fox girl. But Janny overheard everything and thinks it's impossible he learned all that from some so-called divine revelation. The green-haired woman, Janny, continues to watch from a distance, thinking about what just went down. She then focuses her attention on the fox girl and notices that even though Kufyu is injured, there's something special about her. Janny can sense that inside the fox girl lies an infinite potential that seems to be sealed by something. With a smile, the green-haired woman thinks to herself that she's found some very interesting things in this village. Just then, a few villagers show up and are startled by the mess they find. Our main character explains that a member of the Shadow Tribe broke in to attack him and Kufyu. The other villagers are furious, wondering how they had the nerve to invade their territory. One of the guys then notices that the Shadow Tribe intruder is no longer among the living. The village chief asks who did this, and our hero calmly replies that he was the one. The man is shocked, but Lin Yuani says the priority is to figure out how the enemy managed to get in. Our MC already suspects this has something to do with the guy he threatened with the Doing System earlier. The fox girl then tells the chief that there's a traitor in the village who helped the intruder get inside. Li Yuani adds that winter is coming, so they would only attack for a pretty big reward. Hearing this, the village chief looks directly at our guy and asks if he has offended anyone recently. Our hero plays dumb, saying that nobody takes him seriously, all while thinking that the chief is pretty sharp. The fox girl Kufu reminds our hero about the man who was after her, stating that 9 times out of 10, he's the culprit. The village chief gets angry because Kufu is Li Yuani's servant, and our guy reveals the suspect's name is Shi Tianru. The chief remembers this man asking for shelter and immediately orders his men to bring him in for questioning. A short time later, this Shi Tianru fellow is brought in by the guards, looking pretty calm about the whole situation. He then sees the body of the intruder, Ting Ting, being carried away, and is surprised to realize the woman has been taken out. The chief gets straight to the point and tells the suspect that Li Yuani believes he set him up. But Shi Tianru plays the innocent card, saying they need proof to accuse him of anything. The village chief seems to agree with the guy, remarking that what he says makes sense, as he doesn't look like a criminal. Then the suspect starts bad-mouthing our guy, saying he's just a slacker who got caught and came back under strange circumstances. He casts doubt into the air, asking how our main character managed to come back safe and sound after being captured by the enemy. Our hero gets annoyed with the accusation and retorts that he came back because he knows how to fight and got a little lucky too. At that, the fox girl Kufu steps forward to defend her master, saying he took out the intruder with his own 2 hands. The village chief asks if this is true, and the fox girl confirms she saw the whole thing with her own eyes. The suspect is a bit surprised by the confirmation, and at that moment, a mark appears on our guy's neck. The suspect then points to Li Yuani's neck, showing everyone a mark from the Shadow tribe as proof of his betrayal. The suspect smiles confidently, thinking that our boy doesn't stand a chance against him in a fair fight. Our hero sighs, knowing it'll be tough to explain the situation and that arguing will only make things worse. So, Li Yuani tells the chief that he and Kufu plan to move to Yangshan City to escape their enemies. He confirms he was marked, and if he stays, the woman who marked him will find him, so he'll be leaving tomorrow. The village chief is concerned and asks how he'll survive in a new city with no way to support himself. But our main character has already made up his mind, saying that since no one believes him, they don't need to try and change his mind. This Shi Tianrui guy doesn't seem happy at all with our guy's decision to just up and leave. With that, he steps in front of everyone and yells at our hero that he doesn't have permission to leave. He's panicking because if Kufu leaves with him, his mission will be a total and complete failure. The village chief then asks the young man what their departure has to do with his future plans. Shi Tianrui claims our hero is running away to escape punishment and that he's a danger to the village. Our guy shoots back that he doesn't have any proof either, and asks why the enemy would attack him if they were allies. The fox girl Kufu gives a death glare to the guy who's accusing her master of being a traitor. Just then, a screen from the doing system appears for Shi Tianrui, warning him that Kufu's corruption value is rising. The system then tells him to change the subject immediately and plan his next steps more carefully. The doing system warns that there are villainesses in Yangshan too, and either way, Shi Tianrui decides he's going there. With that, he tells them to do whatever they want and turns his back on everyone, no longer caring about the situation. Our hero and Kufu just watch the guy walk away, his fist clenched, showing his intense anger. Our main character thinks he doesn't have to worry about Kufu being influenced by the so-called protagonist. The fox girl Kufu also thinks that the man's motives are simply detestable and wrong. Our guy tells the chief he would never betray the village, and that he and Kufu are now going to pack their things to leave. The chief then advises him to live well and change his ways, and our main character promises he'll do just that. Arriving home, they see that the door was completely destroyed during the battle against the powerful intruder. Our hero tells the girl not to bother fixing the door, because what's broken should stay that way. Kufu looks a little sad about the situation, but can't find the right words to respond to him. He takes her hand and says she never liked it here anyway, and to think of this as turning a new page in their lives. Their hands join in a gesture of comfort and a promise of a new beginning for them both as they prepare to leave. Smiling, our main character promises the fox girl that they will have a new, beautiful home together. Surprised by the promise, Kufu repeats his words, still not believing what she just heard from him. He confirms our home as they walk away hand in hand to start their new journey. Already lying down, our main character tells Kufu to get to sleep since they'll be leaving bright and early the next morning. The fox girl then asks how they're supposed to sleep with the front door completely busted like that. Our hero replies that there's nothing valuable here and the only thing anyone would want is her. With that, Li Yuani asks if she wants to sleep with him, leaving the fox girl completely flustered. He explains it's just for safety, and since it's their last night there, he wouldn't do anything sketchy. Our guy even suggests she can turn back into her animal form if she'd feel more comfortable that way. The fox girl Kufu is a bit hesitant but eventually makes an important decision about the situation. She sits on the bed and warns him that if he tries anything, she'll fight back with everything she's got, but he reassures her. With everything settled, a fire is lit to brighten the room during the dark night that's setting in. Then, the two of them lie down, back to back, and wish each other good night before trying to rest. But Khufu can't fall asleep, thinking about everything that happened and how much her master has changed. She remembers how our hero became a completely different person from who he used to be. While our main character sleeps peacefully, the fox girl continues to watch him closely. Khufu promises that if he keeps treating her well, she will live a good life by his side in the future. Our guy, who seemed to be asleep, tells her not to force anything and to just take it easy. At that moment, the doing system detects the fox girl Khufu's affection value and seems quite pleased. With that, her affection rises by another 2 points, and our hero gets a reward of 100 points from the system. The doing system congratulates the host for turning the tables with just a single sentence. Our guy apologizes on behalf of his former self and says he won't treat her like he used to. No way. Touched by our main character's words, the fox girl can't hold back and gives him a big hug. She then agrees with a smile on her face, seeming overjoyed with the promise of a new life by his side.